Hi everyone, this is Arpad from StarPath Academy. And recently I have been asked about what would be the case for gold in a possible escape from Ukraine. So I thought I would expand in this video a little bit about that because in that interview, I told that, well, actually, when skipping borders, it's much better to use cryptocurrency for that. So in my sense, right, I want to use the best tool for the job at hand. And if you are from Ukraine, Russia, or so on, and you're currently experiencing high inflation in case of Russia, or an invasion or military action in case of Ukraine, depending on what you want to do with your wealth or accumulated wealth, you might want to choose different asset classes, right? So I have been a proponent for you to explore gold and silver because in my experience in Romania, but also in my grandparents' experience, and even before that, when there were major calamities, right? And during war times, it was very good to have gold and silver. Now, a lot of people actually, when communism was coming to Romania, if they could, and they had the ability, they would fled the country. They would flee the country with silver and gold. However, that was not an endeavor without dangers. So I know of stories, right, that where I did share this before, where some wealthy individuals actually, as they were leaving the country, they buried their gold near the border towns somewhere, right? And that was because it was no longer safe to cross the border with that much amount of gold or cash, right? So eventually, a different generation who came back from that family back into Romania, the legend goes that they were able to retrieve that gold and then open up businesses with that. And the businesses are there. So you can speculate what happened and how it happened. But needless to say, it has a clear store of value function, right? So silver and gold has a very clear store of value function, but it's not always too easy to move with it, right? So in one of my interviews that I did with Ferfal, Fernando, his name, where he explained when he was escaping Argentina during the Argentinian crisis, right? One of his observation was that silver is heavy. So I found that funny, and I think he even mentioned when he was escaping with the silver Argentina, they had cash sniffing dogs at the border. Now, I would assume the current border situation between Romania, Ukraine is a bit different than what he experienced, but nonetheless, there are dangers with moving cash and so on, gold and silver. So for me, the function of gold, in my opinion, is long-term wealth storage, right? And because if you can take a look at, historical charts, it has always kept up with inflation long term, not short term, right? It sometimes lags a lot. So there are better inflation hedges short term than, in my opinion, than gold and silver. However, long term value holding, intergenerational wealth holding, it has been one of the best tools, right? Silver has been used for barter. In our case in Romania, we didn't have that. So we used other methods. However, you can see how it could be used very easily and throughout history have been used very easily for that. However, now we entered a new era, right? An era of cryptocurrencies. Now I have my doubts and kind of biases pro and against cryptocurrencies, and pro for some for different reasons, pro for others for different reasons. I don't want to make huge picks here, but I do like the cryptocurrencies such as Ripple and Stellar for one reason, because they are sort of serving some functions, right? Very good actually, but they might not be the best for privacy. But there is Monero and some other projects that I like for different reasons. There are also some big famous currencies, cryptocurrencies that I used to like and I still sort of like, but I have been disappointed about them. Not because they didn't go up in value, but because they kind of failed to deliver on some promises. So I'm not going to go and hate on some of these currencies, but you can imagine that they have been over promising on privacy, security, traceability, and so on. And they have almost never achieved that. But as long as it went up in value, people liked it and bought into it. That's good. People speculate. It's their opinion. They can do whatever they want. Sometimes even I speculate, not so much in crypto, but you get the idea. However, there are also stable coins, right? There are coins that are pegged. It could be a different peg. It's either decentralized or a centralized peg. They could be pegged to the US dollar. So let's say a Tether or something like that is always around $1. So that kind of way, you kind of mitigate the risk, sort of, I know. But you mitigate at least short term the risk of it going up or going down, but you have the utility of it, that it can be very easily transferred, right? It doesn't have to, you don't have the bulkness of it. You don't have to move through borders with it. Basically, you can have a hardware wallet or even just a metal piece where you stamp on the key phrases, right? Keywords, basically. So, or even you can memorize the passphrase. So as long as you are keeping your crypto off of the exchange, because now we are seeing more and more that banks, if they don't like you, they can just no longer do business with you. Or even if they might like you, some government in some country might not like you, and they might opt out from your whole country, right? And eventually we might go to the point where crypto exchanges will do that as well. Now, that means something, right? There are pros and cons on both sides. Maybe you even like that these facilities can do whatever they want. So, but what you need to understand, if you don't have it on a physical ledger, or you don't have it, the key for it, you don't even have access to the passphrases, it's not really yours. Someone is holding it for you. In that case, you're really just speculating for the moment, but you're not gaining the utility, the true utility of cryptos. So understand this, right? As long as you're holding them yourselves, knowing the public and secret keys or the passphrases in order to regenerate your wallet somewhere, as long as it's a hardware wallet or you have it written down or you have it memorized, right? It's much more quote unquote secure. So in that case, it would be much easier to jump border, right? With just memorizing some passphrases, go on to the other side of the border, then recreate the wallet, or even bring your own wallet with that, with yourself, which could be a very small item, but thousands or hundreds of thousands of US dollars, or basically crypto's worth of US dollars, could be very easily be transferred. And on the other side of the border, you could then convert it back into cash or gold or silver, real estate, and so on. So I'm not saying that you should get into cryptos. Definitely not. I'm not really good for speculating. I'm not good for timing markets. But what I wanted you to understand is that there are different functionalities, different utilities, and you have now all these available for you that you can do or kind of use against whatever is against you. Basically, you can enjoy your freedom, right? That's the whole point of it. So a lot of people have been using cryptos for nefarious, for good reasons, whatever. What I like about some cryptos is that in some very selected few, privacy is default, right? Privacy is the default setting, and by default, they are private. Now, nothing is really private if it was done on the internet. So know that, of course, and maybe we don't even want that. Maybe we want, of course, to, if a crime was committed, that the person would be held accountable. But if there's a decent privacy built into something, it's practically much better than some of these alternative currencies or even government currencies offer. So that's my 2 cents. I hope you were able to kind of build that into your model. Thank you very much and talk to you soon.